because I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 17, 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncers' guilt rings.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day.
Oscar Bevis, IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. Alex Guevel joins me, mate. It's very good to see you. How's things?
Always, mate. Always a pleasure to catch up.
Good, good. Yeah, thanks for joining me today. First off, we have got quite a lot to talk about. You are Matchroom Boxing's new head of community development. Before we talk about how you got here, which is a really good story, most people watching are basically going to be like, what on earth is that? So can you just kind of tell us what that role entails for you at Matchroom?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of people may know that Matchroom have got a charitable foundation that they've been investing money back into sort of grassroots projects and different community initiatives across the country. But there's never really been, and this is the gap in the market that I saw, is there's never been a huge strategy behind that to make sure that we're not just investing in some good projects, but there's a long-term sustainable pathway to those, and there's a long-term impact felt in the community. So fundamentally that's what we're looking to do. But the operational side of things, it's very much delivering great community initiatives, engaging matchroom fighters in great community projects, giving back really. All of the athletes start at the grassroots level, so it's great now for Matchroom as the world's leading boxing promoter to be giving back to where it all begins.
Obviously, what we see and what the fans see is what's on TV, the big nights and everything that surrounds it. But especially, I suppose, with a sport like boxing, there's always so much more than just, here's your massive night at Wembley Stadium for a big heavyweight fight. Boxing is such a community and kind of working class sport that it's them people that matter, I suppose.
100%, mate. I mean, my background obviously come from working for the national governing body, England Boxing, for the last 5.5 years. And, from speaking to clubs in the last couple of weeks when we're leaving the role, it's then when it hits home. Sometimes you go out to clubs and you end up thinking to yourself, like, you might have a tricky meeting one day or just a tough day, but you go out and visit a club and you see the boxers and you see that the impact in the community that you're having in your role. And that's what it's all about. Do you know what I mean? It's about the boxers, it's about the coaches, the people that give up their time and dedicate themselves at that grassroots level. And without those people, we wouldn't have these huge shows that Matchroom are putting on week in, week out. And I guess my role is going to be very much to shine the light on those people, but equally build bridges so that there's less of this gap that could be seen to have at the moment.
Yeah, and this is a role that you pitched to yourself to Frank Smith. This wasn't like a scrolling down LinkedIn. Hold on, Matchroom have got a job open. You pitched this role to Frank Smith.
It's a gap that I've seen, mate, for years. As I say, I work for England Boxing, and where I actually came from, you're right. If you want to sort of get the nuts and bolts of it, yeah, I did. I pitched a job to Frank Smith, and I pitched a job role, and he gave me a job. It's a dream come true. And if you go back to where it all started, I mean, you'll know, obviously, we've met before from my involvement with Kieran Conway, with obviously Simon Matchroom. So that's where I've kind of got to meet some of the guys in the past. And what I'd always say to people is, like, take any opportunities you get to speak to these people and put yourself out there. Because if you don't wait for opportunities, create them yourself. And where this came from, when Kieran boxed out in Dallas on the first Canelo card that he took part in, I was fortunate enough to be part of the team out there as like cutman, hand rapper, that kind of stuff. And I was out there, and I remember being in the hotel lobby, and it's like, mate, you're mixing about with that fight. It was mad. I was having breakfast, and like Julio Cesar Chavez sat behind me. It's like crazy. You mix it with all sorts of different people, and you can either sit there and not do anything about it and just be like, wow, this is cool, or you can sit there and you can make the most of it. And I've had ideas, like I've just mentioned, around the gap for what we can do in the community with boxing. And I thought to myself, well, I'm going to try and speak to Frank about it, because Frank's the man that can make it happen. So started there, we exchanged numbers, and then for the last like 2-3 years, we've stayed in touch, remained going around the shows. I pitched a few ideas to him from an England boxing perspective as well, looking at a sort of partnership there. And I guess now Frank must have seen that we can probably do more if you bring this guy on board. So And that's where we are today, and it's a dream come true, mate. It's mad, and it just shows that with hard work, dedication, and perseverance, you can make it happen. And now the hard work begins.
Yeah. It must have felt mental having a press release dropped. That's the sort of thing they do when Canelo signs a new multi-fight deal.
It's a little bit different, mate. I mean, even you asking me to do an interview, mate, it's humbling, to be honest. It's fantastic, and hopefully the sign of things to come, because all we're going to do is shine the light on these fantastic community initiatives. That's what I'm here to do. I love boxing. I love what it does for people at all levels, whether that's grassroots or elite level. It's changing people's lives no matter what. And yeah, it is mad, mate. It is. It's something. It's all new. Even the last couple of days since things have been announced, it's been very different to what I'm used to. But bring it on.
Yeah, I mean, you said obviously you're not new to the sport, kind of on both sides, and the way we got to know each other from you being around Kieran Conway, Ethan James, and the Shoebox boys. What's going on there? Still going to be knocking around them fight weeks. Still going to be wrapping hands and kind of being a main man in their camps.
Yeah, you won't get rid of me that easy, mate. It's yeah,
I'm sure they'll try. I'm sure they'll try.
James probably will. Yeah, no, it's no, still be with the lads. I was down there last night. It's I had the press release go out, and then an hour later, I'm down on the body bag getting filled in off all the lads. So nothing like that to bring you back down to earth. But yeah, no, it's brilliant, mate. Like, we're doing fantastic things for the gym. Outside of this role with Matchroom, I'll still be involved as one of the coaches, one of the team down at the gym with the amateurs, with obviously the pros that we've got there. I'm expecting to be a little bit more busy probably than I have been. I've been very busy, to be fair. In my previous role, I was managing 3 regions, which was a lot. So a lot of work, but yeah, no, still be there, mate. Still be at the fight weeks, but sometimes with a different hat on. Obviously, working for Matchroom now.
Is there a kind of maybe a scouting aspect to these kind of community initiatives as well? Because I don't know, take a pool of 1,000. You might get your one Anthony Joshua in there. So is there kind of a scouting aspect as well to all of this?
It's certainly not going to do. It's not going to hurt anything at all, is it? By being closer to the grassroots and closer to where it's happening in the community. So yeah, absolutely. I think by Matchroom, making this commitment to give back and to be more involved at this level, you're obviously going to unearth more of these gems that we don't know about. Quite often, maybe I've spent a lot of time the last few years around the England Boxing Championships at schools, juniors, youth, senior level. It's not always the ones that are winning those championships that go on to become the sort of superstars or get signed with Matchroom and do this kind of thing. To be honest, mate, Kieran's a good example. He never won a national championship, but look what he's managed to achieve with his career so far, and hopefully bigger and better things to come as well. So yeah, it's I think there will be an aspect of that, yeah, but primarily it's that sort of like giving back. But there's so many benefits for the clubs, but equally for Matchroom by doing this as well. It's a complete no-brainer.
Yeah. Mate, wicked. I'm proper pleased for you. But the main thing, you get to be closer to your best friend, Chris Lloyd.
Oh, mate, it's always a pleasure, mate, to catch up with Chris. He sent me a really nice message last night, actually.
I can't actually remember how this started. This was like bubble life, wasn't it? Where
do you know what?
People saying that you were kind of the number 2 of Chris Lloyd, or
Chris Lloyd. Now, do you know what? I first met Chris at I'll tell you when it was. It was when Kieran boxed Konrad Stempkowski at Newcastle. It was on the Lewis Ritson show when the fire alarm went off. That's when it was. And I think I might have met Chris when the fire alarm went off. And then we ended up sharing a cab back from the venue with him and Matthew Macklin, and just got chatting and stuff. And I thought at that time I listened to his podcast he did with Carl Frampton. I'm going to sound like a right fanboy here, but yeah, I listened to that, and I always watched it and thought, I reckon I'd get on with that lad if I met him. And it's kind of gone from there, and we're always chatting. We've got all sorts of different ideas about this, that, the other. He actually went to uni with one of my mates as well, and we kind of bonded over like a mutual grilling of our mate. So I'd send him incriminating footage from school and all this kind of thing. So yeah,
watch out, Darren Barker. That's what I'll say. Watch out, Darren Barker.
I saw Darren on Sunday at the Harringay Box Cup. Actually, he was doing a bit of scouting down there. Some really good kids down there this weekend. So yeah, I saw Darren. He knows about it, mate. Don't worry.
He's got you on his fret list. Just one more thing. Obviously, like, boxing is so unpredictable. I kind of always see it as like a bit of a roller coaster. Like, we had the height of the Anthony Joshua stuff, and then perhaps it dims down a bit, and then Fury brings it back up. I know that's all kind of heavyweight related. What sort of direction do you see boxing going in as a whole, from top to bottom? Because I kind of sometimes feel like boxing gets limelight and gets completely slated for 2 months, and then even to the casual, it's the best thing in the world the next week. So, like, where do you kind of see boxing going?
It's only up, to be honest with you. I think the way the sport's moving, there's so much more interest in the sport these days. There's so much, it's so much more visible. You know, boxing's on so many different TV channels. It's so accessible for in no matter no matter where it is. And obviously the promoters now are doing a lot more work together as well on these sort of like cross format shows and stuff. So no, I think it's huge. And so the way that Matchroom in particular are building fighters. It's similar to what the UFC have done in some ways, building that narrative around the fighters and just creating superstars. They're the talents in the ring, but equally they're doing so much around that, which will link in with this role too in terms of working with a stable of athletes and building their profile in different ways. Maybe they've done a lot of media commitments at the minute, but now we'll be doing sort of community initiatives, which shows that different side, which is only going to increase exposure and a good feeling from the community and that kind of thing. So no, I can only see it going up, mate. And like I say, from going back to the championships recently, the youths and the seniors I've been to, the talent coming through is next level. So it is only going up.
Because I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncers' guilt rings.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day,